What's good, you guys? It's your boy Prince, and today we have something that's been coming for a long time, and it's probably one of my most heavily requested videos of all time, which is gonna be a little bit of a Tiandi guide. Now, I was originally going to make a full guide about all of the different aspects of his moveset, but I was spending a lot of time on the part where I was talking about the kick. So I kind of decided, instead of having this really long video, I'm just going to make a separate video about the kick, and then I'm going to release everything else by itself. So the reason I want to talk about the kick is because, in my opinion, it's a very underused move, and it's a very underrated move. A lot of people like to say that this move is completely useless, which I think isn't really true. It's definitely not the most useful move. It has a lot of weaknesses, but in my opinion, when you use it correctly, it can be a really strong tool to add to Tiandi's mix-ups. Now, when you want to access the kick, there are three ways to get into it. You can get into it from your heavy attacks. You can get into it from your zone attack. And hold on, let me just turn off stamina for now. And you can get into it from your side dodge heavy or your forward dodge heavy attacks. So there's a lot of mix-up potential there, as you can see. There's a lot of different mix-ups that we'll be getting into later on. Obviously this stuff takes a lot of stamina. Right now I have stamina turned off, so you can't really see that, but it is a very stamina expensive move. However, in the right situation, it's definitely worth it to use it. So probably the biggest problem with this move, other than the fact that it takes a lot of stamina, is that it's really hard to actually get any damage for landing a kick. You will see a lot of the time that your opponent will just let you hit them with a kick, because they will know that there's absolutely no follow-up damage you can get unless they hit a wall. So obviously if there's no walls near you, if the map's just really open, unfortunately there isn't really anything you can do about it. But if you can get yourself near a wall, there's three ways to ensure that your opponent actually gets into the wall, and you can get your kick mix-ups near the wall, no matter what, as long as you're near it. So I'm going to go over the three ways. Now, two of them are from a guard break. So number one, the most obvious one, just throw your opponent into the wall. That's a really obvious solution. Throw your opponent into the wall. That was a bit too far away. Throw your opponent into the wall and then get into your kick mix-ups afterwards. That is the really easy solution. However, obviously you can't always just get a kick, so you do have to kind of fish for a guard break if you want this to work. And the other way is, after you get a guard break, rotate yourself mid-heavy in a way that is going to guarantee your opponent hits the wall. So let me just quickly explain how you can do this. If you want to come over here, buddy. Anytime. There we go. So in order to rotate yourself while you're doing a heavy, you can do this from neutral as well. All you want to do is hold the direction you want to move while throwing this heavy attack. So if I want to move left while throwing this heavy, I'm just going to hold left. As you can see, I'm just kind of shifting a little bit over to the side. Not a lot, but a little bit. However, when you do a guard break, this kind of movement becomes a lot bigger. So as you can see, boom, I just fully rotated myself towards the wall, even though I wasn't facing the wall originally. And this is why it's really useful, because you want to make sure you get your opponent facing the wall, even if they weren't originally facing the wall. So rotate yourself around with the heavy. Now don't forget, if your opponent gets knocked into the wall, even if you miss, even if you don't get any guaranteed follow-ups, it's still a really good thing overall to get your opponent as near the wall as possible, so that you can start pressuring them with these kick mix-ups. As you can see, when your opponent lands a little bit of a distance away, you can actually only get a light attack, which is a forward dodge light attack. And the way you can tell that this is guaranteed is because the warden will kind of glow white a little bit. So that actually wasn't guaranteed, and that's because he didn't see that white glow, so he could have just blocked that if he wanted to. And there you can see that the warden glows white a little bit. And this is just kind of something you'll get a feel for after a while, what distances you can get a light attack, what distances you can get a heavy, and what distance you just can't get anything. Now let me just go over the third way of getting your opponent to go into a wall even though they're not facing it, and that is to just do a dodge heavy into the kick. So as you can see, I can just kind of rotate myself around in whatever direction I want, and then just kind of get my opponent into the wall that way. So there's a lot of ways to work around this as Tiandi. As you can see, once you practice it for a little bit, it becomes very fluent, and you can just kind of... Okay, there goes fluent at the window. Let's try that again. You can just kind of work around that weakness a little bit. Obviously, you don't really want to throw people point blank range into the wall. This is better range, like right here. That actually wasn't guaranteed because you didn't see that wide glow. But yeah, you guys are getting an idea. So that's the ways you can work around getting your opponent into the wall, even if you're not facing it. As long as you're near a wall, Tiandi can pretty much make sure the opponent flies into it by using his moveset. And of course, once your opponent is into the wall, then you can really just keep on pressuring them with this. It's pretty much an infinite combo, and there's a lot of pressure, because obviously your opponent's gonna eat a heavy attack if they keep letting you kick them. But if they try to dodge, then of course you have your undodgeable cancel. So obviously, to use this move effectively, you're going to be cancelling it a lot into your undodgeable top light. This is to make sure that when your opponent dodges the kick, they will just get hit by the light instead. And what's really good about that is you can keep chaining that light into a palm strike, have a lot of pressure in your chain. You know, you just go from one guessing mix-up into the next mix-up. But what happens when you go up against a really good opponent that actually anticipates this and just parries your top light? And this will happen quite a bit at high levels. People will realize that you're just trying to do this, and they will parry you. Now, how can you work around this as Tiandi? And pretty much the most obvious and easy way to work around this is to just cancel your kick into forward dodge heavy, and then keep your pressure going after that. This will really catch most, even the better players out there off guard, because once they see you cancel your kick and they see that top heavy indicator, they will definitely expect a light and they will go for that parry. So it can be very useful to kind of mix this into your moveset, just to really keep your opponents guessing. Just make sure that you are pretty careful when you do this, because if you just throw out a heavy out there and your opponent wasn't actually trying to parry a light, if they parry the heavy instead, you're going to lose a lot of stamina, because you're cancelling your kick and you're getting a heavy parried. You're pretty much going to be out of stamina instantly, so just keep that in mind. Now let's go over this move's potential in 4v4 game modes, because that's where, in my opinion, this move really shines, even more than Jules. In Jules it's a little bit too situational, since if you're not near a wall at all, like for example you can see in this situation on this warden, I really cannot use the kick at all. There's just nothing I can get out of it. I guess it's a decent move for draining your opponent's stamina, but I mean, it costs the Tiandi so much stamina to do that, it's not really worth it in my opinion. However, when it comes to a 4v4 game mode, there's actually a lot of different things you can do with this move, and that is because your opponents will be on the ground and your teammates will be able to get follow-up attacks. So with that being said, that's pretty much all I wanted to go over as far as the kick is concerned. I just think it's a really underrated move, and that's why I wanted to kind of get some tips and tricks out about it, because in my opinion this doesn't get used enough, especially in duels. So yeah, I'm just going to post some gameplay of me doing these kicks in situations in games, so you can see the mix-ups working in a game situation. And yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
You lost, Zone A.